and let's get Adam out to share with you this information. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Adam Renshaw.
How doing, Paul? You all right?
Hi Adam, how's it going?
Really good, thanks.
Packed show, absolutely.
Yes, really good. I think I need a new mortgage.
Well, I'm sure I'm good. The audience are hot and ready. Rusty's left them in your capable hands,
and
I see you
drunk,
later.
Aren't they?
More than likely, yeah, absolutely. I've seen some wobbling.
Well, fair play. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adam. I am the geocaching guy. It says so on the back of my t-shirt. Geocaching is a really good way to get outdoors, have some fun, and look for hidden containers, hidden treasure all over the world. Even here in Birmingham at the NEC, just outside the very front here by the lake, there are geocaches that you can go and find. Now, if you're travelling in a camper van, in a motorhome, in a tent, if you're just going for a walk, there's probably going to be a geocache very close to where you are. There's over 3 million of these things hidden all over the world. 3 million hidden all over the world. Over 22 different countries, 160,000 people doing geocaching here in the UK. The National Trust heavily promote geocaching. The Scouts, they have a dedicated geocaching badge. Now, a lot of people think that a geocache is a big Tupperware box. It's this sort of size, and you can put something in and you can take something out. Reality is, sometimes they're much, much smaller than that. Sometimes they might be about the size of your little finger. And if I can rummage in my pocket, you even get things that look like fake magnetic bolts. So that, if it's going to stick, you might find something like that stuck on a sign somewhere. And you've got your phone or your GPS, and it's telling you that you're 10 metres, 5 metres, 3 metres. And you start going past it, and it starts going back up again, 10, 20. So you've got to turn around, and you head back. And you might have a hint. It might say magnetic. It might say Hussein. So you go and find whatever the container may be. And this is just one example. And you can unscrew the top of the bolt, and inside it, you need tweezers to take them out sometimes, is a little tiny piece of paper that you sign your name on and you put it back. Now, the larger containers, they have lots of things inside called swag. And swag is an acronym. It stands for something we all get. So you can go along and you can find maybe a key ring or a pencil or a crayon, and you put something in and you take something out. You sign your name in the logbook and you replace a container as you found it. You download an app to get started with geocaching on your mobile phone. And those apps don't have to cost a single penny. So when you're off in your camper van, in your motorhome, if you're walking or cycling, or just fancy a day out on a bus or a train, geocaching is something you can do no matter where you are. Now, not everybody has the same level of ability of confidence or mobility. And the geocaches themselves will have a rating of difficulty, terrain, and size. You can have a look through at the photos that people have taken when they've tried to find the geocaches. It really is an immersive activity. Loads of fun, no matter how young, how old you are. But the thing is, the treasure of geocaching is not the actual container, it's the experience. It's the places that it's going to take you to. It's the stories you're going to get. Now, I've travelled all over the UK going geocaching, and I've gone across Europe as well. Now, I've been in Land's End, I've been John O'Groats, I've been all over the place going geocaching. Up in the Lake District, there's a place called the Cathedral Cavern. This is a big hill that the National Trust own, and they've quarried out the granite from inside this hill. And there's a great big massive granite pillar that holds the roof up of this cave. There's a pond in there, and there's goldfish swimming around in the pond. There's a load of tunnels where they did all the mining, and you can walk through with a head torch, make sure you're not banging your head, and you can go and experience walking through those tunnels. Now that's an experience I would never have had I not gone geocaching and gone to look for a Tupperware box. One of the times I've been up there, because I go there quite a lot, happened to be there, and there was a youth group or a choir, and they started singing this stuff that they were singing, absolutely angelic. To hear that and the reverb in the cave, amazing. Now, another treasure is memory. Going out and finding these places, you're getting stories to tell, stories to share. Unless it's perhaps Christmas Eve and you've had a few too many to drink, you don't tend to create many memories sat at home on your sofa. You need to get outside. You need to go walking. You need to go exploring. You need to go and play outside like we did as children growing up. Now, in society now, there's a lot of things that are around that weren't around when I was young. Food intolerances now are much more prolific than I was, growing up in the 70s. Those food intolerances, that's because we're not getting our hands dirty. We're not getting messy. We're not picking apples off a tree. We're not picking blackberries. We're not picking things up off the floor. Wild flowers. We're losing that engagement with nature. You used to navigate by waypoints and points of interest, places that you would remember and see. So you remember that actually you go down through the woods and you get to the stream and you have to cross over the stream, then you turn right, and that's how people used to navigate. It wasn't head down in a mobile phone, relying on whatever voice you've got programmed to tell you take the next left, take the next right. Doesn't even, half the time, you don't even get the street names. It just says go left, go right. And if you've got the Ozzy Osbourne voice, it says you've gone the wrong way, with another word that I can't say in front of children. Now, those stories, those experiences, that's how we grew up. That's how society developed. And we're losing all of that now. When was the last time that you flew a kite? Or actually even built a kite from an old bin bag and a bit of string and sticky back plastic? Think of all the things that Blue Peter used to make us do. People aren't doing that anymore. When was the last time you found a nice round pebble and either kept it or painted it, which seems to be the big craze at the moment, or perhaps found some water and you skimmed it so the stone would bounce across the water? Now, side note on that, I was canoeing quite a few years ago and somebody was there with a young kid and they were skimming the stones. I know from personal experience that if a stone hits the canoeist going past, you get some really nice scars. Really nice scars. Now, it used to be a big thing when I was at school that if you've got scars, you'd be like going up to your friends, Johnny, look at the scar that I got. I fell out of a tree at the weekend and I got a scar. People aren't sharing that anymore because they're so mollycoddled. I took my young nephew out into the woods a while ago and I says to him, Noah, can you pick me up that leaf, please? Okay, Uncle Adam, I'll pick up the leaf. Stinging nettle. Uncle Adam, the leaf, it bit me. I got bit by a leaf, Uncle Adam. Not a problem, Noah. Go and see this big leaf that looks like a big ear of an elephant. Scrub that up, rub it, and the stinging will go away. It's like magic. He was like, all right then. So we did this, and he went home and he went up to his mum. Mum, Uncle Adam made a leaf bite me. I'm always getting in trouble. Noah is always telling tales on me. But a while after that, he was out walking and he got his leg, back of his leg, caught on a stinging nettle. But he knew to go and get a dock leaf, and he told his mum what the leaf looked like and that they were always fairly close to stinging nettles. And she was like, actually, cheers, Adam. I know I gave you a hard time for getting him to pick up that stinging nettle, but I appreciate you teaching him about the dock leaf. There's so much that we're not doing outdoors anymore. We're losing our gut instinct. We're losing our natural sense of direction. I'm not wearing a watch. okay, I've got a clock on my smartphone, but most of the time now, I know roughly what time of day it is by looking at where the sun is, how dark it is, looking at the shadows. That's because I've spent years playing outside. Kids used to be told by their parents or guardians, it's Sunday afternoon, go out, we don't want to see you back until tea time. Well, when's tea time? We just knew. If you were lucky, you had one of the old BT phone cards. It was like a credit card you put in a telephone box. Now, if you don't know what a telephone box is, it's a big thing that's quite often on a street corner. And even some of the the telephone boxes, you can go into and you can type away and you can send a text from a phone box. How awesome is that? Oh, well, I think it's awesome. But I only found that out because I was out walking and I noticed a sign on a telephone box that says, you can text from here. I thought, what? So I had to go and have a look, and I sent myself a text. It was quite cool. Cost me 20p. But that was an experience that I had by going outside, and it's given me a story that I'm sharing with you guys now. And that's how society grew up. People would sit around a campfire, have some food, and then talk about their day, where they'd been, what places they'd discovered. They would share the information so that their tribe could stay safe. Well, if you go into the woods and you come to the clearing, near there's a cave. And if you go into the cave, it's nice and safe. We're not having those stories to pass on to people, to share why important and how important it is to get outdoors. And more importantly, why we should be getting outdoors now. Well, not now. Please wait until I finish talking, then by all means get outdoors. I'm not the slimmest of people. Hands up on that. But geocaching gets me outdoors and it gets me walking. When I go and look for a hidden container, somebody said to me a few years ago, do you fancy walking up the top of Snowdon? And I was like, no, thank you. Except I might have used a 4-letter word. But, you know, it wouldn't have crossed my mind to walk up Snowdon. Now that I go geocaching and I look for Tupperware boxes and bolts and all sorts of strange and weird and wonderful things, somebody says, there's a geocache on the top of Snowdon. Do you want to walk up and go and find it? Yeah, all right then. So we went off and we had an adventure. And adventures give people something to bond with. Not just bonding with nature, but bonding with each other. It's those shared experiences. That's why things like the Scouts are so good for society. There used to be loads of government-run youth clubs and youth programs, and all of that is being stripped away from society. All of that learning, sharing, growing together as a community, and also as families. People going out, when was the last time you guys went out and had a picnic? Or just grabbed a flask and went and sat in a park and listened? If you go into a park and listen to the bird song, that's proper social media out there. Those are the real sort of tweets that you need to listen to, unless you're following at UK Cache Mag, which just happens to be mine. But go outside, listen to the birds, listen to the wind. I was told something many, many years ago by a teacher at school. Energy is something that can't be broken. It just changes form. So I started thinking, if I say something, that air, that energy that's coming out of my mouth, that forms part of the wind. And if that can't be broken, every bit of advice you've ever been given is still out there, floating around somewhere. And, get back to nature and listen to all of that information that's out there. Your gut instincts. Nature provides so much. And that's why things like camping, caravanning, motorhoming, cycling, walking, archery, canoeing, rock climbing, abseiling, anything you can think of to do outdoors, even if it's reading a book outdoors. Now is the time to get outside. Now is the time to go outside. Play, learn, develop, relax, whatever the reason, pretty much anything you want to do, you can do outside. You might need to take a shovel and a plastic bag, But anything you need to do, you can do outside. Go and learn about foraging and the safe foods that you can get free outside. Go and learn what mushrooms you can take. Be very careful to learn, because the wrong mushrooms really will not be good for you. Go and feed the ducks. Ducks don't like bread, so make sure you're feeding them the right thing. And this is why you should come to shows like this. Go and speak to RSPB, Woodlands Trust, the Wildlife Trust. Go and speak to all the people that are here and learn about the outdoors. There are magazines you can read. There are books you can read. But more importantly, there's experiences you can have by shutting the front door and going outside. Society these days spend far too much time on their games centres, consoles. They might have to run, to jump, to duck, to swerve. All that's moving is their little thumbs. And if that's all that's being used, we're going to end up going back to like being T-Rexes. And I'm not talking about the band. But if we're not using our arms and our limbs, and we're pulling ourselves up in trees, climbing over boulders, going and playing on stepping stones, walking up a hill, if society, body, we're going to evolve. And what will we become if we're not using what we've got and what it's designed to be doing? Geocaching, as I say, is just one of the things that gets people outdoors. And the best time to get outdoors is now. Well, maybe in a couple of minutes, as I say, when I finish talking. But geocaching, you can do wherever you are, wherever you are. Now, you can learn not only about just going to go and find the container and the places that it takes you, you learn about the local history, the local knowledge, the local information. 160,000 geocaches in the UK. 160,000 people sharing locations, information, places, just to get people out walking and exploring. Up until maybe the last 4 or 5 years ago, geocaching was kind of the best kept secret. And then I came along and launched a magazine all about geocaching. And I've started doing things like this, telling people about geocaching, because I want people to be outside, learning, experiencing, having fun, getting fresh air. The mental health benefits of geocaching are second to none. The physical health benefits, same as the mental health benefits. Get the adrenaline going naturally. You're not putting drugs into your body, you're not drinking. Make sure you're hydrated, that's a given. But make sure that you're drinking, you're hydrated, that you've got the right nutrition when you're out walking. Just take some snacks, some healthy snacks, some fruit. Take a packed lunch, just go out, enjoy it. The best time, as I say, to get outside is now. And it doesn't matter what you have to do. If it's to walk to the end of your garden, if it's to walk to a post box to post a letter, they reckon that the average person over 40 years of age in a month walks less than 10 minutes in one consecutive time. If you think, just to walk to your local shop, you can be there and back in about 4 or 5 minutes for most people. Most people spend less than 10 minutes a day walking. Now, if you've got things like these step counters, they say to try and look at about 10,000 steps as a daily average. The reality is we need to be doing much more than 10,000 steps, much more than 10,000 steps. They picked 10,000 because it's a nice round number and it's not too big and too scary. Talking of big and scary, going outside looking for geocaches, you're going to learn about dealing with your own fears. You might be looking for geocaches in somewhere that's dark. Maybe it's a confined space. So what are you like with confined spaces? What are you like with crowds? If you're reaching into somewhere, trying to find a geocache, have I got it? Oh no, I've got a slug. You're going to put your hands into damp and cold and slugs. You're going to get caught on stinging nettles. You're going to scrape on ivy. You're going to come up with cuts and scrapes and bruises. You're not going to get that if you're sat at home on your games controller. You're not even going to go and get your food because you'll ring up and you'll get your food delivered. If you ring the right people, they even deliver cooked hot food for you. So you haven't even got to get off your chair. Yes, you have got to get off your chair. You've got to get outdoors, and you've got to get outdoors now. Because if we're not doing something about that, society is not going to change. I certainly don't walk as much as I should. And I'm a real big advocate for it. So I need to listen to my own words and take my own advice. And I encourage you guys to do the same. I've set myself a challenge of finding 2,018 geocaches in 2018. 2,018 geocaches in 2018. That's a daily average of about 5.5, 5.6. This year, so far, I should be somewhere around about 300-400 by now. I'm at 40. I've gone out one weekend and found 40 in a day. You don't have to find big numbers. It's just a challenge that I set myself to make sure that I'm out there as much as I should be. I write a magazine about it, so if I'm not out doing it, how can I share the stories in a magazine? I need to set the example, and part of what I'm doing by speaking on stages like this is setting an example to get families and people out walking and exploring. Now, some people will have mobility issues. I appreciate that. You might not be able to go and walk up Snowdon. I fully appreciate that. But you could perhaps walk along 20, 30, 40 metres of a local towpath of a nice flat surface in your local park that's tarmacked or gravelled. It's really important to be getting out and getting that fresh air. Breathe in all the pollen. Because if you're not breathing in pollen, your body's not building up an immune system. And that's why people suffer from hay fever. Expose yourself to it. Like the flu jab. In the flu jab, they're giving you a little bit of the flu so that your body is used to it and can experience it and can handle it. If we're not outside engaging with all this stuff, all the stuff that's out there, we're missing out on. Now, if you've got an iPhone, you can download the geocaching app. It's free. There's Looking for Cache Pro. There's Cachly. There's all sorts of different apps you can download on a smartphone. If you've got an Android phone, have a look at an app called C::Geo, C::Geo. Download it. Go walking and exploring. As I said, I started many years ago, and I wouldn't walk very far at all. From that now, I cycle, I canoe, I pothole, I scuba dive. Not every day of the week, maybe not every week of the year, but it's given me exposure and a taste for doing more. The best time to get outdoors is now. So think to yourselves, what is it that you're going to do that's going to get your family, your friends out? It might be you're in a walking group or a rambling group. Well, that's kind of preaching to the converted. Whatever group you're in, just say to some friends, we're going to go and find a coffee shop. Do you want to come for a walk? Or a pub? Whatever you have to do to get people out doing it, start. If you've already started, well done. Now do more. You can never do enough. If you come home and you've been out in the fresh air all day and you come back to your camper van, your motorhome, your tent, your youth hostel, your travel lodge, and no matter where you're staying, if you've been out in the fresh air all day long, you're going to come home and you're going to have a good night's sleep because you've used loads of calories, you've used energy, you've had some really good fresh time. And people aren't getting enough of that anymore. You know, we sit in schools and colleges and offices with air conditioning, so the same bugs are going round and round. And then maybe you go home and you sit at home, and people probably don't even open their windows anymore. I can't remember last time I opened my windows at home. I'm hardly ever in, but people aren't letting fresh air into their homes. There's so much that society isn't doing anymore. You know, we're relying on central heating, so it's just dry air all the time. Open the windows, get some fresh air, go for a walk. And while you're out walking, or geocaching, or whatever it is you're doing, you're going to find amazing places. You're going to find all sorts of things that you never knew were there. Fresh fruit from a local independent, allotment that have got an open day that you just happen to be walking past. There are opportunities around every single corner. There is adventure behind every single tree. If you're not out and about, you're not going to find that excitement, you're not going to find that adventure. So people will look to other things in life to get that energy hit, that feel-good factor. So they will turn to drink and drugs and all the other wonderful things, except they're not wonderful. They really are not wonderful. Fresh air, you cannot beat it. And the best bit is, it is free. Surely we like things that are free. I like things that are free. And if you go around this show, there'll be all sorts of freebies and things you can pick up on. Now, I'm not quite sure how I'm doing on time. It feels like I've been chatting away for quite a while now. So I've got about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to attempt to lip read. So if anybody has got any questions or would like to know anything about geocaching, or just other ways you can get outdoors, then feel free to heckle me, to ask some questions, and I will do my utmost best to answer the best I can for you. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, I got out of that line. Oh, gentleman at the back here. Now, I'll try and get to you so that I can hear what you're saying and not get feedback. Oh, gentleman at the back.
Cheers.
Oh, look at that. You come to an event like this and you get the pros that are there to support you with the roving microphones. Big round of applause. Here we go, support, thank you. I know what I meant. The guys in the black that do all the important stuff for things like this that often get missed, not just guys. So what was the question, sir? Sorry, I was rabbiting away.
Who puts the geocachers where they are?
There are, as I said earlier on, about 160,000 people in the UK doing geocaching. Anybody can place a geocache, as long as they've got things like landowner permission. If they've checked that, that it's not somewhere that's really, really dangerous, people can put them out there anyway. So if you wanted to get into geocaching, once you've found a few yourself, you might share your local knowledge of your local area, maybe where you walk your dog, share that route with other people and put those out for other people to find.
You do that via the app, do you?
You can do that through the app. It's probably best to do it on a website, which is geocaching.com, and that's geocaching. Cache in terms of storage, not money. Geocaching.com. It's a fairly simple form to fill in, but I can happily have a chat and help you in more detail if you want to place one. Anybody else got any other questions? Yes, nice and easy. Well, if you think of any questions, then have a look for me on social media. Gentleman at the back. Yeah, I'm on social media. You can find me on Facebook. Look for the Geocaching Guy, thegeocachingguy.com.co.uk. The magazine is UK Cache Mag. Please don't think I'm here trying to sell my magazine. If you want a copy, I'll send you a copy. That goes to anybody. I'm here to get people out walking and exploring, predominantly through geocaching, but anything that I can do to help get people outside, that's why I'm here. And that's why shows like this are so important. I will get a copy for you. I've got one over in the office at the back. Lady was asking if I've got a copy of the magazine here. I've normally got a stand here, but they haven't got space for me this year. It's become so popular. Any other questions? Oh.
Standard question that we get asked an awful lot is, how much does it cost? Is it an expensive hobby?
Okay. When I first started geocaching, it used to be an expensive hobby. You used to have to go and buy an outdoor GPS unit, maybe a Garmin, and they were hundreds of pounds. Now, if you've got a smartphone, and most of us have smartphones, you can download an app, and the app is totally free. Now, like anything, they will try and upsell you, and they do a thing called a premium membership. This is run by a company called Groundspeak, based in Seattle. They're like the governing, overarching company for geocaching. That premium membership is about £20 a year. But once you've got the app, you can go anytime you want, a bit like Martini, anytime, anywhere, any place. If you want to go off for an hour, you go for an hour. If you just want to spend 10 minutes looking for a geocache, off you go. Oh, I thought the young guy at the back was going to ask a question, and I saw his hands go up, but it looks like he's scratching the back of his head and then falling on beanbags. How awesome is that, to fall on beanbag, to stamp in a puddle so all the mud comes up around you? It's not just for kids with their wellies. Adults can do it as well. So not only do I give you permission to go outdoors and to do it now, I give you permission to climb trees, to stamp in muddy puddles, to skim stones, to have as much fun as you possibly can. I give you my permission to do that. You don't need to ask for it, but you do need to make sure that if you're doing that, your folks know where you are and that you're doing it safely. I'm Adam, I'm the geocaching guy. I think I'm about out of time. I'm going to go and have a chat more specifically about geocaching on the Experience Freedom stand straight after this. So literally I'm going to take this microphone off, I'm going to belt all the way from one hall to another, and I'm going to go and have a chat on the Experience Freedom stand. If you want to catch up with me there, feel free to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
How you doing, all right?
Yeah, how was that?
That was good.
Oh.
I think it was good, they might disagree.
No, absolutely. We were keoling out the back. And yeah, no, and what's really cool is, and what I like about these shows, Adam, and I'm sure you'll agree, is that the audience are forever wanting information.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're better to come than these events to get that like from yourselves.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because we've had Graham earlier, we've had Dave also, and this is a wealth of information. Well, please, if you do have any specific questions, I'm sure they can hunt you down.
Hunt me down. Preferably not with a crossbow.
No, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, please, for Adam. Thank you. Right, mate. Wonderful. Okay, so, boys and girls,